Erroneous Statement of Cash Flows. Andel Company's 2019 Statement of Cash Flows, as developed by its bookkeeper, is shown here. And we have the cash flow for December 13, 2019. And at the bottom it says, you determine that the amounts of the items listed on the statement are correct, but in certain circumstances, incorrectly classified. And so if we look back up, we can see here there's these accounts don't really make sense with where they've been classified. And so we're going to have to fix that, which is what it's asking. Prepare a corrected 2019 statement of cash flows for Andel. Use the minus sign to indicate cash outflows, a decrease in cash or cash payments. And so we have the outline of our statement of cash flows here, starting with operating activities, and this net income is correct. So we'll just pull that over. And we'll pull over the 10,600 with it. All right, and so then next we have a line item here for the adjustment for non-cash income items. And so if we look down at these activities that are listed here, we can find those non-cash income items. And so one of those is going to be this depreciation expense, which we'll be adding. So we'll say add depreciation expense. And that was $4,800. And then if we look back, we can also see here that there's a gain on the sale of equipment, which we'll need to subtract. So we'll say less gain on sale of equipment. All right, and so then the adjustment for cash flow effects from working capital items. And if we come over here, there's a decrease in accounts receivable, and so that belongs in our operating activities. And let's look for accounts payable, because I'd imagine that would be here somewhere too. Yeah, so a decrease in accounts payable. I want that indented. And so that should give us, actually I'm going to reduce this indentation since I put it in that cell that's indented already. Okay. And then that's going to give us the net cash provided or used. So let's do a sum first and see if it's positive or negative. So we have 13. Doesn't seem right. Wonder, because 10,600. Okay, so it looks like some of those cell references were a little funky. All right, so I just retyped them all, and we get a positive 14,000. And so here we'll have net cash provided by operating activities. So now we need to go find the investing activities. And if we look back at this information, we have proceeds from the sale of equipment. So we'll list that here. And I'm just going to type them this time instead of cell referencing, since that seemed to make things weird. The issuance of stock will obviously go on financing. Payment for the investment in bonds we can list here in this investing activities. And so we have negative 6,000. Okay. The payment of long-term notes payable will go down in financing. We already dealt with the accounts receivable and the depreciation. And so then we have this purchase of land. For 5,200. And so we can tell that this is going to be cash used instead of provided by, but we'll go ahead and do the sum first. So we'll have net cash used for investing activities. And then finally, we need to go find those financing activities. So we saw the stock, we saw that long-term note, and there's also dividends here. So let's start with the proceeds from issuance of stock. And that was 4,300. Then down here, I thought I saw it down here. Oh no, it was up here. The payment of our long-term note. Oops. And that was negative 5,000. And then we have the payment of dividends. For negative 3,000. So again, it's going to be a used situation, so it will be negative. And so we'll have net cash used for financing activities. And then below that, we'll have the total. So let's over here do the sum of our operating, investing, and financing. So it's a positive 3,500, so net cash or net increase and then we need to find our cash. Beginning cash balance was 8,200. And so we get a total of 11,700, which does match the ending cash balance that they had listed on their erroneous cash statement. And then just for the sake of seeing this a little bit better, we'll add a row to identify our subtotal and then our grand total with a double line. And so now we've corrected this cash statement and reclassified these different accounts into the appropriate classification.